Hey, yeah, welcome back to our YouTube channel. We've talked about forgiveness before, but it seems like something that needs repeating. It's something that pops up a lot in everyday life, at least for me. It certainly does. It pops up with almost all people I come in contact with at some point or other, unless it's a stranger on the street and I never see him again. At some point, forgiveness comes up, and it's a topic that you have to address. And we've talked a lot about it in different ways, but it's really hard when it's someone that you have to see all the time, or someone that you work with, or someone, especially in our little Christian bubble. Man, it's harder to forgive them. I mean, people out there, it's easier for me to be like, well, okay, they don't know right from wrong, they don't know Jesus, they don't know those things. But when you know they do, it's hard to swallow.
Sure it is.
It's hard to forgive when they don't deserve my forgiveness.
Oh, Jordan, how many times have I said to the Lord, that person does not deserve forgiveness for what they did to me? And every time I hear the Lord say, well, neither did you. You didn't deserve it either, but I gave it to you. And he also said, if you don't forgive, then neither will I forgive you. So when you forgive someone, whether they are deserving of it or not, you are really, in the bottom line sense, you are releasing yourself.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's not about them.
Because at the end of the day, because you forgive them doesn't mean they're going to change.
Right.
But there's something that happens in you. There's a healing that happens. That's one of the greatest seeds you'll ever sow, is when you forgive someone who doesn't deserve forgiveness. It just heals you.
Well, I'm not responsible for what they did or what they do in the future. I can't control other people and what they have in their heart, but I can control my own actions. I can control my heart. I can control making sure that I don't find myself feeling bitter and hateful and upset, even though I may have a right to. It's not good for me, and that's not how I want to live my life.
Well, here's something that I've experienced. I say the words. When someone has done something just downright despicable against me, and I've had this happen many times, I'll say the words, Father, I forgive them. I don't mean a word of it. I don't mean not a word of it. It's just words. But the more that I say it, the more it gets down into my heart, and I begin to mean it. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Even though you say, I forgive them. I don't mean. Right. As you continue, it'll begin to grow in you. It'll begin to grow in you. And I've just learned to forgive when they don't deserve it. And I was sharing earlier, I got a call the other day from a guy I hadn't heard from in 10 or 12 years. And he did something very bad against me. And he called, he wanted to apologize. And I said, look, I forgave you when you did it. Well, he was shocked, But I did. I released him. Now, at first it was difficult because what he did was very wrong. He shouldn't have done it. But it cleared me. I'm not responsible for him. I'm responsible for me.
Right. And if you let that fester, you're allowed to be human and you're allowed to be hurt. And sometimes the hurt has to pass before you can really let something go and forgive someone.
Sure. And sometimes it takes some time.
And sometimes it takes time, but the hurt will pass. And if you allow that to become bitterness and hatred and anger, it will take root in you.
Well, it will affect you in other areas of your life.
Right.
It can make you sick physically. And
it can make you miserable too. Yeah. I mean, and if you're just miserable, who wants to be around someone who's miserable and angry all the time?
And it causes you all kinds of problems. It's much better to get that poison of unforgiveness. Lindsay often says that unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. Well, she's right. That unforgiveness, it doesn't hurt them. It just kills you.
Yeah, but it's hard to let go sometimes, and it's hard to not be angry about it.
But you can start.
Let it take, if you need a little time to be hurt about it, okay, and then start working it out.
And separate the person from what they did. You're not forgiving what they did. You're forgiving them. Separate them. Put the person and what they did in two different categories. What they did was wrong, but forgive the person and let God handle the rest.
Because if not, you're going to do something that deserves forgiveness, that warrants forgiveness one day, and you wouldn't want someone to not give that to you.
If you're not careful, it'll lead you to revenge.
Yeah, exactly. And it just, honestly, just thinking about and dwelling on those things all the time just make you so unhappy. Yeah. I have better things to do. I have bigger fish to fry than to sit around and be unhappy about someone who did something wrong towards me, who did something that they shouldn't have, said something they shouldn't have. And sometimes you are hurt by it, especially if it's someone that's close to you. And that's understandable. You're a human being.
Of course.
I'm not going to dwell on it, that's for sure, because it just makes me miserable. I don't deserve to be miserable. They already did something to me that I didn't deserve. Why would I torture myself further?
Sometimes the first time I say I forgive someone, boy, it's hard to get those words out of my mouth because I don't mean a word of it.
Right.
But after a while, it just begins to get inside me, and I truly forgive them and let them go.
Yeah, and you just have to remember you're going to need forgiveness someday too.
What goes around comes around.
Yeah, you're going to want that forgiveness. Maybe not from them, but from someone. And we all make mistakes and we all need forgiveness sometimes. You're going to have to give it if you want to get it. That's the short version. Thanks for tuning in today. I know sometimes it's hard to swallow when you don't want to forgive someone and they don't deserve it, but I promise you, you will be much better off if you do. Thanks for watching today. Subscribe so you don't miss anything, and we'll see you next time.
As always, you can find additional teaching and resources from Richard and Lindsay Roberts and request prayer at oralroberts.com or call the prayer group at 918-495-7777. We believe God wants you healed and whole in all areas of your life.